Okay, this example goes with section 3.2, measures of spread, and what I'm going to do in this video is show you how to calculate the variance and the standard deviation from a grouped set of data. This problem, number 23, comes from page 120 in your textbook. We're supposed to approximate the sample variance and the standard deviation given the following frequency distribution. You see we have 5 classes and the frequencies to go with them. All right, we back up one slide. Here are the directions for how to do this. Now, number 1 says to compute the midpoint of each class and then compute the mean of those midpoints. Okay, we can see based on the problem here, we can figure out what our class size is. Our class size, 10 minus 0, that's going to give me 10, and we can check it here to make sure they're the same. 20 minus 10, yeah, that's 10, and then 30 minus 20 is going to be, so our class size is going to be 10. Now the midpoint is just going to be 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So the midpoint for our first class here is going to be 5. And then the midpoint for our second class is going to be 5 plus 10, or 15. And then the midpoint of our third class is going to be 5 plus 20, or 25. And then the midpoint of our fourth class here is going to be 5 plus 30, or 35. And then our next class would start with 50. And so the midpoint is going to be 10 over 2, or 5, plus 40, or 45. Okay, now the midpoint mean is going to be the sum of all these midpoints divided by 5. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 plus 4, 125. So the midpoint for the means is 125 divided by 5, and that will give us 25. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over onto the next slide. I'm going to make a chart, and I've got all the midpoints listed here, and then in column 2, I'm supposed to take the midpoint minus the mean. So let's do that. Okay, and now I have calculated all of the midpoint minus the mean. Here they are in column 2. Now I'm going to take each one of these in column 2, and I'm going to square each one of them over here. That's going to give me 400, 100, 0, 100, and 400. And then I'm supposed to multiply this by the frequency. So let's go back and get the frequencies. 13, 7, 10, 9, and 11. All right, so we're going to take our midpoint minus the mean squared and multiply it by the frequency. All right, so now I have all of the midpoint minus mean squared times the frequency. And now I'm going to get two sums. I'm going to add this column here. I'm also going to add the frequency column because I'm going to need that when I go to figure out what my variance is. All right, so now I have my sum of frequencies to be 50 and the sum of the squares times the frequencies to be 11,200. Okay, the next thing we are supposed to do is we're going to divide. We're either going to divide by the frequencies n, or we're going to divide by the frequencies minus 1, which is n minus 1. It depends on whether we have a sample or a population variance. So we go back to the problem, and we are looking for a sample variance. So we are going to be dividing by 50 minus 1. So n minus 1, which is going to be 50 minus 1. That's going to be 49. The sample variance, s squared, is going to be the sum of those midpoints minus the mean squared times the frequency is 11,200. We're going to divide this by 49. And this gives me 228.571. And then if we want the standard deviation, all we need to do is square root that. 228.571. And that's going to give me 15.119. And that's how you find the sample variance right here and the sample standard deviation from a set of group data.